Somebody is getting paid right now by a business you would never brag about at dinner. And the strange part is, the more ordinary it looks, the fewer people usually compete for it. We notice flashy apps, founder stories, and viral ideas. Meanwhile, entire fortunes are built around paper towels, storage gates, service routes, and contracts that renew without needing applause. So this is not a tour of trendy business ideas. It's a map of 20 low-glamour models that can become durable assets when they're systemized, and the final principle matters more than any single example. Exciting businesses attract attention, and attention attracts competitors. Boring businesses often survive on the opposite dynamic. People need the service, but fewer people want the smell, the repetition, the regulation, or the awkward hours. A useful filter is simple. If the problem is necessary, unpleasant, and repetitive, there is a decent chance somebody can build a strong business by solving it better than everyone else. The money usually is not hiding in a clever slogan. It's hiding in route density, contract renewals, equipment uptime, purchasing discipline, and whether the owner can make Tuesday look as reliable as Friday. That is also why recurring revenue matters so much. Predictable cash flow makes hiring easier, debt less terrifying, expansion more rational, and the owner's life dramatically calmer. So the goal here is not to romanticize dull work. It is to understand why ordinary-looking businesses can become unusually durable once you see what is actually creating the margin. Commercial window cleaning is easy to ignore until the building starts looking neglected. For the customer, it's upkeep. For the operator, it can become route-based revenue built on trust, safety, and repeat scheduling. The hidden lever is not just cleaning glass, it is density. When jobs are packed tightly into one area, travel waste falls, crews stay productive, and a very ordinary service starts behaving like a disciplined local machine. But this is not effortless money. Insurance, safety compliance, weather delays, and crew quality matter a lot. The opportunity exists precisely because many people prefer admiring skyscrapers to maintaining them. Pressure washing has a built-in sales advantage because the before and after is obvious. Customers can see the value immediately, which makes it easier to win work and turn occasional jobs into maintenance plans. What looks like a one-time cleanup can become a calendar business. Restaurants, retail centers, apartments, and commercial sites all create surfaces that keep getting dirty, which means the problem keeps coming back. The work is easy to understand, but not trivial to operate. Equipment maintenance, runoff rules, scheduling, and consistent quality decide whether it stays a hustle or becomes a proper business. Portable restroom rentals are not glamorous, which is exactly the point. Construction sites, outdoor events, and temporary projects create a need that is mandatory, visible, and often billed on an ongoing basis. This model becomes interesting when the operator treats each unit like scheduled inventory, not just a container in a yard. Utilization, service efficiency, and local relationships drive the economics. The barrier is obvious. It is physically unpleasant, operationally messy, and logistics heavy. That discomfort is not a bug in the business. It is a major part of the moat. Dumpster rental is another quiet example. Home projects, remodels, roofing jobs, and construction work all create a temporary waste problem, and customers are willing to pay for convenience right away. Like many rental businesses, the game is asset turns. The same steel box can generate value again and again if drop-off, pickup, disposal, and customer communication stay tight. It sounds straightforward until the hidden costs show up. Disposal pricing, truck maintenance, local permits, fuel, and damage control can quietly eat the margin if the operator prices lazily. Pest control works because the customer is not buying one dramatic rescue. They are buying peace, prevention, and the confidence that a small problem will not quietly become a much bigger one. That makes recurring service especially powerful here. Once a customer trusts the operator, regular inspections and treatments can create a steadier relationship than the original emergency ever could. But this is also where sloppiness gets punished. Licensing, treatment knowledge, customer communication, and safety standards matter, and that professionalism helps separate reliable operators from cheap shortcuts. Commercial kitchen plumbing is a perfect boring niche because failure is expensive and urgent.
Restaurants cannot casually postpone drain issues, grease problems, or water downtime in the middle of service. That urgency creates the first sale. The higher quality business often comes later, when the operator turns panic calls into preventative maintenance and becomes part of the restaurant's operating routine.
The catch is obvious: bad hours, skilled labor, and messy environments. But again, the fact that many people do not want this schedule is part of why the niche can stay attractive. Pool service looks more pleasant than some of the others, but the same logic applies. The customer is paying to avoid a technical, recurring problem that gets worse quickly when neglected. This becomes far more interesting in dense local markets. When pools are concentrated and routes are efficient, the operator can build a weekly rhythm that feels much more stable than a random list of jobs. Still, the business is not automatically easy. Seasonality, chemistry knowledge, repair capability, and customer retention all matter. Recurring billing helps, but only if the service quality keeps earning it. Parking lot striping is another business most people never daydream about, but every retail center, warehouse, school, and medical property eventually needs visibility, order, and compliance refreshed.
On its own, this may look seasonal or occasional, but operators who build relationships with property managers can turn it into repeat work across multiple sites and related maintenance categories. Again, the opportunity lives next to friction. Weather windows are narrow, timing can be awkward, and mediocre work is visible fast. That makes professionalism worth more than the category first appears. Vending machines are a classic boring business because each transaction is tiny and forgettable. But forgettable purchases repeated in the right locations can form a surprisingly sturdy stream of revenue. The machine is not the magic, the placement is. Good locations, fast servicing, and smart product selection matter far more than the romance of owning a little box with snacks inside. And the downside is equally boring. Machines break, products expire, locations disappoint, and owners need discipline around service schedules. Tiny neglect in this model can quietly become very expensive leakage.
ATMs work on a similar principle: tiny fees attached to repeated convenience. The customer is paying a few dollars to solve an immediate problem, and that simplicity is exactly why the model can work. Once again, placement decides almost everything. A machine in the wrong store is dead weight. A machine in the right store becomes a small utility that gets used without much persuasion. But this one carries real caveats. Cash management, security, maintenance, and shifting payment habits all matter. So it works best when the owner thinks like an operator instead of a dreamer. Laundromats are one of the clearest examples of a boring business that can become a real asset. They solve a constant need, collect many small payments, and can run for long hours without heavy front desk staffing. What makes a good laundromat valuable is not the romance of washing clothes. It is density of need, dependable equipment, and sometimes extra services layered on top of the core traffic. Still, it is not passive in the lazy sense. Utility costs, machine replacement, lease structure, cleanliness, and repairs determine whether the cash flow stays healthy or quietly leaks away. Self-storage is powerful because it monetizes a surprisingly emotional problem. People run out of space, but they rarely want to part with their stuff. That creates sticky demand tied to monthly billing. The beauty here is psychological as much as physical. Once belongings are inside a unit, inertia takes over. Customers may visit rarely, but the monthly charge keeps showing up with impressive regularity. But storage is not magic land with doors. It can be capital-heavy, sensitive to local oversupply, and dependent on good management. Simple to understand does not mean simple to buy well. What matters here is matching the land, the local lifestyle, and the service level. Security, access, and convenience often matter more than aesthetics, because customers are really renting peace of mind. The trade-off is that not every parcel works, and not every town has the same demand. Zoning, security costs, local recreation habits, and seasonality all shape whether the idea is solid or weak. Heavy equipment rental is powerful because contractors often need access more than ownership. A machine used occasionally is a burden to buy, maintain, insure, and store, so renting can be the rational choice.
In businesses like this, utilization is everything. The asset is valuable only when it is moving, working, and coming back in rentable condition, rather than sitting in a yard waiting for a better week. This is also where missing discipline gets expensive fast. Repairs, damage, transport, debt, and idle inventory can punish a careless owner quickly, which is exactly why strong operators stand out.
Car washes become much more interesting when they move beyond single transactions and into memberships. The moment a one-time wash becomes a monthly habit, the business starts to gain a very different kind of predictability. That recurring layer changes the psychology. Some customers use the service heavily, some barely show up, but the subscription creates a smoother base than relying only on random drive-in traffic. But car washes are not magical boxes that print money. Build cost, maintenance, utilities, weather swings, and location quality matter enormously, so the membership idea only works inside a well-run operation. Property management is a classic example of a business built on operational relief. Owners pay not because it feels glamorous, but because real estate becomes easier to hold when someone else manages the friction. The strong version of this business is not just collecting rent. It is building systems around tenant communication, maintenance response, vacancy control, and trust, so the owner sees the service as hard to replace.
And yes, there is a reason those fees exist. Tenants, repairs, turnover, regulation, and owner expectations can make this exhausting. But that pain is exactly what the customer is outsourcing. Medical billing is deeply unglamorous, but it sits close to the money. Clinics want care delivered and claims collected, and complexity creates room for specialized operators who understand the system. What makes it valuable is that it is embedded in a crucial process. If billing breaks, cash flow breaks. That gives competent providers a meaningful place inside the customer's operating structure. The obvious trade-off is precision. Errors, compliance mistakes, and weak follow-up can damage the client quickly. This is exactly why expertise and reliability matter more than branding theatrics. Small part manufacturing may be one of the least celebrated paths to serious wealth. Nobody gets excited about brackets, fittings, or custom components, but entire industries quietly depend on them.
That is the hidden power of niche manufacturing. If the part is essential, repeatable, and annoying to replace, the supplier can become much more valuable than the product itself first suggests. Of course, manufacturing is not easy money. Equipment, quality control, lead times, labor, and customer concentration all matter. But when the workflow is dialed in, dull products can support very strong businesses. Now we move from physical friction to digital infrastructure. Niche management software can be incredibly boring from the outside, yet powerful because it becomes the operating spine of a specific industry. The reason niche software can be valuable is not because the interface looks futuristic. It is because the customer builds habits, data, and daily operations around it, which makes switching surprisingly inconvenient. Still, recurring software revenue is earned, not gifted. Support, quality product, integration headaches, and customer retention all matter. The best software businesses are boring in the best possible way, useful every day.
EV charger installation and maintenance is interesting because it sits between infrastructure, compliance, and recurring need. Once chargers are in the ground, somebody still has to keep them operating reliably. That is the key distinction. The first sale may be equipment and setup, but the stronger long-term play is often in service, uptime, software, and relationships with property owners who need reliability. And as always, the friction is real. Permits, electrical standards, hardware failures, site conditions, and service response times matter. That is exactly why this niche can avoid becoming easy prey for everyone. If you step back, the pattern is no longer random. Different industries, same logic. Recurring need, operational friction, and a business that gets stronger when the owner installs systems instead of chasing novelty. Now we get to the shift many people miss. Sometimes the smartest move is not launching a brand new business at all. It is acquiring one that already has customers, staff, equipment, and habits.
Buying cash flow is not about being lazy. It is about paying for proof.
If the numbers are real and the operations are understandable, you are purchasing a working system instead of a vague hope. The danger, of course, is buying a story instead of a business. If the cash flow depends on one heroic owner, one giant customer, or neglected equipment, the shortcut can become an expensive trap. Franchises fit this conversation too. Some people want the structure, vendor relationships, and playbook. Others prefer the flexibility of an independent business. Neither path is automatically superior. The economics and execution decide. The deeper lesson is that boring businesses become powerful when the owner climbs from doing everything to managing systems that repeat. The asset is not just the service, it is the transferable routine. This is where recurring revenue stops being a buzzword and becomes a lifestyle difference. Smooth revenue gives the owner more room to plan, train, borrow carefully, and make calmer decisions under pressure.
A business that must be sold from scratch every morning behaves very differently from a business that wakes up with customers already attached. One is pure chase, the other has a foundation. That is why unglamorous revenue can be so powerful. It is not exciting because each payment is dramatic. It is powerful because hundreds of ordinary payments can support a durable operating system. Real freedom often looks less glamorous than people expect. It may show up as cleaner calendars, stronger reserves, a better team, and the ability to say no, not just as loud, visible success. It is important to say this clearly. None of these businesses are magic. They all have headaches, capital needs, staffing issues, and maintenance demands. The opportunity lives inside those realities, not outside them. If there is one formula running through this whole video, it is this: solve an unsexy problem, repeat the solution reliably, and keep the customer long enough for the economics to deepen.
That also changes how you see your own town. What used to look like background noise starts to look like a network of local monopolies, specialized routes, and recurring need hiding in plain sight. The smartest next step is usually not copying one category blindly. It is learning how to evaluate a business honestly. Demand, retention, capital intensity, risk, and whether the operations can actually be systemized. The big myth is that wealth begins with brilliance. More often, it begins with consistency around something useful, unglamorous, and hard for less disciplined people to copy for very long. Once you understand the hidden economy, ordinary places stop looking ordinary. You start seeing systems, not storefronts, customer inertia, not just transactions, and quiet control, not just visible hustle. So the businesses may be boring, but the lesson is not. Durable wealth often grows where the work is repetitive, the competition is thinner, and the owner learns to build systems that keep serving people well.